say that is last year.
Now
What?
I'm going to start the meeting as soon as
That's
happens.
why I like it.
Well, then, excuse me, I need to.
Not that I
take
don't
2 minutes.
I'm going to start the meeting.
Went to a left-handed store the other day,
We've run
Where?
the gamut.
down in
All right.
Orlando. I was visiting my sister. Yeah,
All right, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. We'll start with the roll call.
Yes, okay, Dick
I'm
Bennett,
here.
okay. Darren Levitt, John Allen,
President.
Kathleen Doherty. Sarah Kimball,
Larry Seaver.
Larry Siebert, and Betsy Harding.
Okay.
Have we heard from anybody not planning, not able to
I
be
did
here?
not receive any phone calls, but that's a go. There are 7 of us here, so everybody will vote this evening. We had a chance to look at the minutes of the previous meeting. We had good minutes.
Great minutes.
I move we accept them as written.
Second. There's just one minor correction. Oh, no, that's on my stuff. Excuse me. Wrong. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. Is there any comment from the public that isn't on our agenda? Any part of this board?
Probably me.
Shouldn't, aren't we supposed to elect officers every 2 years?
Okay.
I think we should wait until we get the
New appointees.
appointed letters from the selectmen.
Are they doing it now?
We had a table today because of an unforeseen circumstance. Normally we would have that done by tonight.
Okay. So,
So once the new
What's
appointed
that?
letters and people are sworn out, then I think we'll do that. If that's acceptable to everybody at the
Yeah.
table.
You will need to serve for another month.
I'll keep it going.
So when can a non-public member ask a question?
Other business,
Oh, okay.
you have to wait all the way to that.
I'll try to hold my patience and check.
Oh, no, we can deal with that now. This is pretty straightforward. Why don't you restate your question?
Oh, okay. Well, we've discussed at 2 different meetings whether or not the town has a reason for inspecting septic designs. And among the board members ourselves, there was an understanding that we didn't have an ordinance that we had approved. And so we led the public to believe that, but we also know that the selectmen had led the public to believe that there was an ordinance, so I was just looking for the reasoning.
Okay, the ordinance being an ordinance for our inspection of septic systems?
Exactly, sorry.
Okay, I looked it up in the RSAs, and the town, and I should have written down the number, but the town is responsible for a review of septic plans.
This is in the RSA.
That is in the RSAs. And Jackson has a more stringent septic design
That's what we were asking, where is that? Jackson's more stringent septic.
The state won't review it without Jackson's prior approval.
Right.
Okay, but what you just said was that Jackson has a more stringent,
We had a more stringent, now we have adopted a state standard for our septics. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, that's what,
No, we're,
No, I don't think
it has
anything's
nothing to
changed.
do with septic design.
Oh,
well, we always had a, well, it was a 2 lot, I mean, a 2 acre minimum.
That's minimum lot size, it has nothing to do with septic. It's all you do, all that does is determine the size of the lot
Right.
relative to the soils that are underneath.
Right.
Ultimately, this sort of determines the septic, doesn't it?
Well,
It does.
what the formula for going from the soils, how much soils of a particular type is needed for a lot of a particular, that dictates a lot of a particular size. What is used to generate those numbers is the capability of the different soils to process nitrates, which would be the major portion of septic effluent. But it has nothing to do with what the design of the septic system is. It is just assuming that a house with 3 bedrooms would generate X amount of nitrate, and then looking at the soils of those soils, what is their capacity to cleanse that effluent. And so that is where the numbers come from, but it is nothing to do with the design of a particular system as to whether that system is appropriate.
Okay,
or
given
size or
a
whatever.
design, one, the town of Jackson has to approve the septic application before it goes to the state.
And that's
At,
RSA.
excuse me,
That's dictated by an RSA.
that's in the RSA's.
so I've just found, I think, the RSA that applies, and it, by my reading,
Which one are you on?
okay, it's 485A29, Roman numeral number 1. It says, any person proposing either to subdivide land, except as provided X, or to construct a sewage or waste disposal system shall submit 2 copies of such locally approved plans as are required by the local planning board or other local body having authority for the approval of any such subdivision of land, which is subject to department approval, and 2 copies of plans and specifications for any sewage or waste disposal systems which will be constructed on any subdivision or lot for approval in accordance with the requirements of the department as provided in this paragraph. So they're saying as are required by the local planning board or other local body having authority. Do we have a local body that has the authority? We must have at some
The
point.
selectmen have the authority.
So was that voted by town?
No, it's in the, that's what,
Okay.
just don't read the whole thing. Read the beginning
Okay.
paragraph. of-
As are required by the local planning board or other.
No, back one.
Okay. So, or to construct a sewage or waste disposal system, shall submit 2 copies of such locally approved
There we
plans
go. Locally approved plan.
as are required by the local planning board or other local body having authority for the approval.
Right.
So you're just questioning who has the authority for the approval?
Yeah, I mean, because Penny Miller brought it up.
As I understood it, the selectmen have that authority of approval. That's where it would come from.
Okay.
And then at some point in the discussions, I remember doing it, it was felt that we should have professional guidance in that approval process.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that it was ever passed at a town meeting that the selectmen, well, I think it was accepted that they had the authority to do it. I don't think it was ever voted on to allow an engineer to advise, but I don't think there's ever been a question about engineers or professional people advising the selectmen.
Now, was there ever anything written down that you would use to judge, criteria that you would use to judge the septic system designs by? Or did you just use the,
Use the formulas of square footage and gallons.
Yeah, it wasn't the design as much as it was the rate.
okay,
You know, just looking at, okay, it's going to be
I think that's what we're going to come up with, a redesign.
a three-bedroom house with one kitchen.
mhm,
There is a formula for how many gallons per day that would produce.
okay,
And you design a system for that on that soil.
okay.
Okay, so,
And that's, Jackson's criteria is more stringent than the state's. And that's just addition to what she's saying.
So our criteria is more gallons or more design? It's that connection that.
And don't make that connection.
But the thing is that just the state won't approve it with a prior approval, and it's really,
It still has to be approved by the local
Right,
board before the state will.
okay, what I'm getting at.
Okay, but it doesn't have to go beyond that.
and
That's why it is done.
maybe one of the differences is I think the state will allow a two-bedroom septic and we don't. Is that, do we
I
allow?
think minimum is two-bedroom.
Okay, I was thinking maybe we don't allow anything less than a three-bedroom unless
No,
there's a
I
place
can
on Tyrol
remember
or something.
two-bedroom septic systems going in
Okay,
because of wet lots.
okay,
They didn't have the area
okay,
to put in a septic system for a three-bedroom. So it was, I think, written right into the building approval, the building permit,
okay,
that it could only be a two-bedroom house.
okay.
but part of the approval process is that when they submit plans, it gets submitted, it gets approved by the town engineer, who tells them the selectmen sign off on it, that's the process.
Okay, and where does it come up that is more
We
stringent
don't.
than the state?
Exactly.
Okay, everybody says it's more stringent
Yeah, but
than
it
the
isn't.
state.
Okay, so it isn't.
It is.
It is or it isn't?
It
That-
doesn't make any difference whether it is or isn't more stringent, our regulations.
Okay,
The approval still has to come.
well, I realize that.
Okay, then
Yeah.
what else has to be explained for a town engineer to advise the selectmen about a septic design? What?
How does it become more stringent than the state? Everybody keeps saying, oh,
Okay,
Jackson is
it
more
isn't.
stringent than the
Okay,
state.
how's that? It isn't.
It sounds like everyone's wrong.
It isn't.
But Darren said
It
it
isn't.
is.
I disagree. It isn't.
I don't think it is more stringent than the state.
We have certain aspects of our process.
I think.
It came up on the lots up on Tyrol, which were smaller than what we would have approved for the square footage.
Was this in the 70s?
But the state will approve a septic system on a 110 by 110 lot.
The reason why I asked about the 70s is because I had a letter saying in the 70s, Jackson did something where there was something inserted in the documentation of the 70s, that's what was born, that caused this, and it's sort of been oversighted. You know, there was one thing in the 70s that was done, and we were put on a list. You go to the town There's only a handful of towns that require prior approval. That's what it is. So Dick, I think is possibly right. How's that for? So it's like, there's a list of saying not all towns require prior approval. Jackson happens to be one of those towns.
Do you have any reason why? I don't understand.
If something happens, so because we're on this list of prior approval, the state won't review a plan without prior approval from the town.
Maybe because those lots were so
There were so many
non-conforming,
and
and
so
that we
small.
let them go.
So I think you're right, Dick.
Allowed
We may not be
them, the
more
state
strict.
allowed them
There may
because
be a
they
misnomer.
existed, and say, hey, you can't.
But
do
we're
that.
on a list, and so that's
You
what
need
we
prior
are.
approval now.
To do that,
That's probably what happened.
So-
Yeah, I'm saying because that's there, we have to do it.
for whatever reason.
So Sarah,
I'm just guessing, Larry.
Yeah.
so I think you both are maybe right. The fact is we're on a list. That's really the answer.
Oh, okay, so when somebody comes up and says, well, Jackson was going a little more stringent, then I can say, no, we use the state.
Right, we use the state
It's
formula,
just that
the
they're-
state
So
standards.
those who say that, well, our septic system design standards are stringent in the state are not speaking the truth.
And I can bring it in next time and show you. There's only a handful of towns.
Okay, no, that's fine.
No, I'm saying that's why. 'Cause I remember that was my whole issue with my lot.
Well, now all towns seem to have, is this RSA, it seems to apply to all towns. So they all need to have septic design review before it goes to the state.
I don't know.
I think the confusion.
Dick's gonna pull out his hair though.
Yeah, but I think the confusion keeps coming about because we use site-specific soil samples to determine the size of a lot, and a lot of towns don't do that. People think that's more stringent a septic system, and you corrected that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
that doesn't really have anything to do with the septic system, but it does seem more stringent. So the people just say Jackson's more stringent with their septic regulations.
Plus, we have a lot of
And
slope, too.
Kind of, vaguely is true. You see what I'm saying? And I think there's where the confusion is with people.
Yeah.
That
people-
soil samples and septic are two different things, but
Right.
they don't seem to be two different things.
But didn't Tara even bring that up as part of the analysis?
No, what she was saying is that we use the high intensity soil surveys and we should
Yeah.
use the site specific. That's what we changed.
She's saying we're just outdated in our.
Yeah, it's just in the,
Oh,
in the,
okay.
in the method that you're using to determine. So it's which chart do you use and how do you, how do you analyze the soil? You know, do you do it just straight, taking the different soil types and then go to there, or do you go and do the factors that have to go into this, the high intensity soil survey, and then they have to translate it to this and translate it to that to be able to get, right. So by going by site specific, so what we're doing now, since town meeting, is that they do one study and then it works for all the regulations.
Oh, okay.
So we've made it, as I
Easier.
said, more efficient for the permit.
So it is correct then to say that basically, while public opinion is out there that Jackson's septic regulations are more stringent, they in fact are the same as the state's. Is that what we're saying? Am I
I think so.
translating that properly?
I would-
John, do you think that's true?
Be quite honest, I don't see the septic designs come across our desks. I mean, that's all handled, through the town engineer, so.
Bird's the person that had the answer.
Right, I think he's the one we need to contact.
I'm not comfortable
No, I
saying any
did
of
call him,
You did?
and I asked for his reasoning for us to pay him, and these are the items that he gave to me,
Okay.
that,
But you didn't specifically ask him what Betsy was just saying,
what
which
she
is
said.
that we're more stringent than the state.
No, I didn't ask about that.
Yeah.
I was just asking,
Well, yeah, what the process was.
Do I have permission to email Burr and just check with him, and so that if he does confirm that, I'll just put it in the minutes? Is that all right?
Fine with me.
Okay.
I don't think we should put in the minutes on any assumptions until we know.
But I mean, I could put it in parentheses or something, granted that we didn't discuss, but in confirmation with Burr.
we just put down that,
Well, even if you
We
put it
discussed
in
it.
parentheses, it shows up, it's still gonna
Yeah.
show up.
Just
Yeah.
say we're just discussing it,
Yeah.
because,
The process. That's all we were doing, was
I
discussing
can have
the
Julie give,
process.
I can have Julie give a call.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You need a gavel.
I think they took the gavel away, they're in the table.
Oh, isn't that what's behind us?
I don't know, is it?
They usually have a little wooden
Yeah.
block, you know. Thank you for that question. I'm sure you cleared up many misconceptions.
You're welcome.
So let's move on to a review of Phil Davies' analysis of the community survey. Which is that document here. So we've had this for a while. I don't know if people have gotten to look through it, read it. Or think about it.
Well, we discussed it at that one meeting, and I think it was Darren's suggestion to do this.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't do it, no, Phil did. Yeah, no. Yeah,
Right, and like,
so it was easier
well,
to,
hopefully it didn't require a lot of extra work on his part. Me thinking that it's all in a program that you can.
Is that readable?
You know what you mean.
Yeah, I think it
I
is.
don't know if
Do you have a copy of it?
No, Dick wouldn't give me that.
Oh,
do we have a copy machine? Oh,
we do, I have two, but I have just 2 copies of the highlights.
You should have
I
that.
can-
Well, I only have 2 copies. John, can you possibly get a copy made of these highlights?
This copy machine works,
Oh, I saw, look at that.
and we're authorized to use it at our discretion. I was told I didn't know
No, because of.
It's a new part of the office.
it. Right?
Is it getting better all the time?
Ah, look at that.
So I'm gonna try to find the stuff emailed to you, because Randy Cooper was the one that found all this stuff from me.
No, okay.
That's why I'm having no.
He's been around.
Yes.
It's just when you hear a lot of people saying something that doesn't seem to be right.
No, it was, my memory is that in the 70s, something happened and put us on a list. There's only a handful of towns on the list.
Oops. Bad squeak.
Oh. I guess it's like the quick language of, it's out there.
Well, should we start?
I'd love to. Now that we have the highlights of the Jackson Community Survey, I think it'd be interesting to hear everyone's thoughts on how we're going to integrate it into our master plan, because that's what we've done, the build-out analysis, now we've got a community study, a survey, but hopefully we're aimed at a master plan. So how do we integrate the information from the community survey into the master plan? Are we going to put
Well,
each segment of it in there? Are we going to make
I'm just gonna
broad statements?
I would just say we should look and see, out of all these statements, what we feel collectively is the most important things. Some of it may not be relative or pertinent.
well, there's 2 things in my mind. This is opinion. the survey, and the build-out analysis is fact that we build on for the next, 50 to 100 years. So we can look at the opinions and see what they are and see what strong opinions are, but other than that, that's all it is.
I agree with you, I'm saying it has its place,
Yeah.
and it has to be in that context. I'm saying we don't have to list, 18 things, whatever it is. We can sort of say, these are 2 or 3 topics worth saying, this is the opinion of people that either live here or come to the area. Or that, reason why they come to Jackson or whatever. Sort of like in the existing master plan. It's just, I think it should be the introduction part, saying things that are, what was the subtopic about, the subset at the beginning of the things that are important in the area.
Vision statement and goals.
Not goals, but it's just, they're a part about life in Jackson. Taking place.
Yeah, it seems to me that
Still fun.
there are opportunities.
No, I remember that scene in the beginning, there was a part, they call it a soft part of the report.
Yes.
And that's what Larry's saying, also, it's not statistics.
Oh, I totally agree that it is opinion, it's an opinion poll, and we can put in, whatever parts of it, that we feel are important, but, I think it should go in as that, this is what people.
Did we get distributed the highlights? I think I do not have
Which,
the highlights. Yeah, great.
this
Let's
one,
see.
Do we have enough of those?
and then,
No, we just need a copy.
Just make copies.
Okay, I know I had 2 to start with and now I have none.
I'll give you mine.
I just needed 2, that's all I made was 2.
Oh, okay, can we get a couple
Can we
more?
mark this up?
Sure.
How many needing?
I think we all have
Who
one now.
doesn't, who doesn't?
Dick doesn't have one, does he?
Oh, okay.
John's been here since 3:30.
I can imagine he's pretty exhausted.
But, so, are we gonna, at this meeting, try to figure out what we're gonna include in the master plan? Are we going to designate a couple people to edit this, to put into the master plan? Some part of this is gonna go into the master plan.
Haven't we gone through the first part of the master plan? I seem to recall that
We did.
Oh, I
spent
think
a number of meetings just going through the present master plan
Yeah.
from 2003. And we went through the purpose, and I thought we had made it all the way through the vision statements.
We
You
did.
did.
But now, for
Okay.
example, one of the things we said was we will incorporate elements from the build-out. Thanks a lot. Elements from the build-out and elements from the community survey. So for example, we might say, under the natural resources goal, 98% of year-round residents find that the rural atmosphere is very important, or that the natural landscape is very important, or something like that, so that we're integrating some of the findings right in with it, I would think.
I feel that personally, there's 3 things that we could incorporate. The importance of town features, the funding needed for conservation, and funding for town services. And, we could just look at those, and I'm just saying, because those are things that, state how people feel today about things. And I don't think, I hate to, I'm not throwing anything against the school, but I mean, how people feel the school is, the school, won an award last year, and I think the school's fine, and it's already covered in there, and the school's excellent, and I think there's other things we can just add that maybe aren't in there, just as opinions. I don't think we have to put all of this into that.
No, I agree. But some elements of it,
Oh, yeah.
and then, of course, the highlights themselves can be in the back, the way I believe last time's highlights. Last time's highlights are the back few pages, so people could reference those if they want to.
I don't mean to disagree with Darren, but the readings at the school, it was a big honor to get the best elementary school in the state.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty important part of our town, and I think it's important to let people know that that was important. And the fact that also that the kids that go from here, they do all kinds of things all the time.
Right.
And they go to the junior high, and then they go to the high school, and they excel. And it's the kids from Jackson that do. It has to do with the smaller schools, the smaller classrooms. And
Caring teachers
and
and.
caring teachers, the whole gamut. And the master plan, if somebody comes in with young people and want to live here in Jackson, it's a big draw to coming in here with young families. But anyhow,
Does that belong, now we have this in the present master plan, we starting page 12, is the background information, and that goes for the rest of the plan to page 48.
Right.
The question is, do we want to continue to have this background information? Some of it would have to be totally updated, like employment and population. I mean, there's certain sections there that are talking about situation of the town at present. Population, housing, employment,
well, I
et
agree
cetera,
with you
all of those
about,
social services.
Okay, I'm
would have to be
gonna hold
updated.
back here for a minute, only because we had just started on school.
Right, that's why I brought it up, because
Put
if
it-
you
put it
would
there.
put it, if we're gonna have this background information, we would say yes, then we could see where all of these, the information from the survey would fit into those sections.
Into background.
Right, and if we're not gonna do background, then would we then have another, just a section on the survey, or, you know, are we gonna totally change the format of the present master plan? You know, or are we going to just update what we've got?
I think we should just update what we have, or hire someone who knows what the hell they're doing, other than us. But we should just, you know, why create something new at this point? You know,
I don't think we're going out to hire anybody to create the master plan.
then we should probably follow what we have as
I
a
think
template.
that our history, which is this one, I also have, what was the other one? 83?
No, it was 10 years before that, 89 or 90.
Well, anyway,
Yeah, it's called
I-
community plan.
you know,
Plan.
We're certainly not going to expend funds to hire somebody.
And the people who know the town
It's 88.
Yeah.
better than somebody else. But it is.
The one change I would recommend, it's important in our work to have done the background studies, but I think that most people don't ever look at it. I'd like to see the background studies get online and just have us have the meat of our master plan published, and ending, of course, with our future goals. Just as this, right before the history, it ends with what our land use goals are.
Future, yeah, directions for future.
Directions,
plans.
right.
So on page 12.
Yeah, 9, page 9.
9 to 12.
So I don't see the point in our publishing, you know, all of the background again. We granted want to update it, we want to make sure it's current, but I don't think most people read it. And so if they want to read it, they can go online or request a copy from the offices.
Sure. Okay, I want to really focus on what we're going to put into the master plan. If we want to edit this material and get it in there, I think we should figure out a way to do that gracefully.
I think
mean,
as
I
Sarah
think it's
suggests,
fine to put the whole thing on e-news or whatever, and, you know, keep generating whatever information we can put out to the general public, but we're still going to publish a document that will be our master plan, and I'd like to kind of refine what it is from this that we're going to put
My hope on the survey is that we would make that public to the people. We would put something in the e-news and a poster up somehow or other saying that this survey is available. If you wish to have it, contact so-and-so or stop by the office and get a copy or something. And then that we would extrapolate from that and add things into the master plan, as I think I understood Sarah to suggest. To me, that makes a lot of sense. And then we can take some elements of that and put them right into the goals, because X number of people feel Y, we want to do such and such.
You mean after the master plan is done, you want to put it on?
No, so I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I would have certain elements of the survey itself put right into the master plan. So that, for example, at the natural resources goal, to say 98% of the year-round residents of Jackson feel really value the rural landscape, or something like that. So the elements of it that are really relevant to what our goals are would go in here, but the rest of it would be part of the master plan's background.
Using natural
Studies.
resources goal, that which now says, protect and conserve Jackson's natural resource areas, including hills, woodlands, scenic vistas, valuable wildlife habitats, streams, wetlands, floodplains, aquifer recharge areas, sensitive riparian areas, and the night sky. Then you would just add another sentence, perhaps saying, in the survey of 2014, or the respondents said, so many of the respondents judged the natural features, listed out with the percentages, judge them as excellent, or whatever they are.
Oh, okay, I thought you
So-
meant that we're going to put this online and ask people for more suggestions, that's why I was really
Oh,
confused.
no.
Okay.
As information.
Yeah, I think it's important, it was last June when people got this. We need to get it out there and say, here is the analysis, here's this report, and here are the highlights, so that people don't think we just buried it and didn't pay any attention to it.
Can't we get that online, on the town website?
Yes, I'm
As
sure
a
we can, but we
document?
need to approve it first. We need to, there are some typos that I had gotten across to Phil, but somehow they're not on here corrected,
Well,
so.
this is in whole,
Yeah, so I had thought Phil had updated it and brought it in, but maybe he didn't.
well, I've had
Which
these
one did we-
in the cabinet for two months.
Okay, well, I think it was probably back in October that I gave Phil my edits, and I don't know if other people turned in edits to them as well.
So if it was approved and corrected and amended, the question is, what would we talk about incorporating and putting in? That's what we're trying to do, right?
Well, right, because I think that that's the line we have to decide on as a board. Is what do we add?
I think, in the history, the end of history is where we put the thing about the school. What I'm saying is, no, I think it's a great honor, it's incredible. I just think, I don't think it's an opinion, that's a fact. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't minimizing it, oh no, I think that's incredible. But that should just go in at the end of the history,
Oh, I
saying,
get where it
in
goes.
2013,
Uh-huh.
Jackson received this, and that's a fact. And in terms of the other things, are really people's opinions or how they feel about things. That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
So we should incorporate that as a news item for someone coming into town in the history, and we can talk, and then we can add a sentence saying, and also people feel this about the school.
Mhm. Oh, good idea.
But I don't think all of this has to be incorporated in the report, because this is also the results are going to be in the report. And like Sarah said, if a lot of the background is old, maybe we can just look at it and see on a cursory glance, without getting statistics like Larry's saying, rebuild this whole thing, just what can we strike or remove?
Or add into,
Or
as
streamline.
Sarah was saying. I mean, there's probably no need to have ratings of town boards, period, anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just not necessary.
Mhm.
Importance of town features, it's kind of in where you were saying, the natural resources section. ratings of schools right in the school segment, so we could add, and the survey said, or
Right. And it definitely can be fit in, I might just.
there is a chapter on emergency services.
It's funny, on the town features, it says tax. You know, you get atmosphere, landscape views, and then tax.
And we can go over this tonight, but I still think we just should have it next to us as we go through the master plan and, revise it. And
Well, can we approve or change or whatever it is and get it out for the public? And also this?
that's the law.
That's what I say, they put it on the website. and say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want a copy of it, print it off the website.
Oh, just put the whole thing on the website.
Yeah, and maybe there are one or two people who
But you think it
don't
needs to be
have it.
edited just for grammar and
Well,
that
I
kind of
know
thing?
there are some typos in there.
Yeah, we could go through that. And, take us a little while.
Well,
We could do it.
okay, we've got
That's,
the
we're talking about two
survey,
different
we've
things.
got the
Yeah.
analysis, and then do we have to approve, or vote and approve of editing of this?
Well, maybe you don't want to, I don't know. I just-
Well, no, I can see putting out a clean copy if you care, but you're not gonna change any of the information. You're just
No,
You just gotta,
no, there were,
putting out words. I don't think we necessarily have to.
yeah, he has, on,
Us
page
all
13, he
go
has
through it and read
solid
it.
waster.
Yeah.
And on page 9 or something like that, he has, on page 7, he has just over a third of the season residents, and it should say seasonal. So there are minor changes like that, that,
So you're saying that once it's all approved, once it's back and edited correctly, and then she's identified, we can just release it to the website, we don't have to.
Right, I don't think that it's,
I just told Phil we didn't want to release it until the planning board said, go ahead.
okay, what do you think, planning board?
I think it's fine, that's good.
it's a good idea to
And if
release
it's
it.
just and
Okay.
yes, I'm,
But editing, we could do actually outside of a meeting.
Sure.
If
Yes,
it's just-
that's what I would think.
Yeah, so we could each, within a week or two or 3 or a month, whatever
Why
it
was-
takes us, send emails to each other saying, I found error on page
Okay, well,
9.
let's.
And we're not gonna
let's-
change anything, we're just going to,
let's put a deadline.
put a
Yeah.
deadline on
If you
that.
have any changes you want to make to this or any suggestions, email Betsy the changes by, what are they?
The 31st,
31st,
March 31st.
March 31st. Nice round.
And then this should also be attached when the website
Yeah.
is released, it's just easier.
Okay.
I move. So, such.
Second.
Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That will be our process.
Great.
I did happen to open up to page 44, where it has, this is the last 2003 master plan. Jackson Grammar School has a section, so that would be an appropriate place to put in the new information about the outstanding recognition that the grammar school got from the state. Excellent.
But it would, and it's also a place to mention ratings of schools. You could, that would be the place if you wanted to add that. And that's why I said we probably should go through the master plan and then add these to the appropriate spot where we feel necessary. The grammar school got a 68% rating from year-round residents.
Yeah, I think it's nice to include that.
Yeah.
We need to find out from the school what the student population is today,
Uh-huh.
because this is from
Oh, yeah.
2001.
And they have a projection, I think, as to, you know, what it'll be like in 2 years and 3 years and so on. So we can try to include that maybe.
Each one of these sections, I think we could go through and update. And I might make a suggestion to ease the workload, and that is maybe divide up the sections among various planning board members to look at. I mean, if we all pick 2 or 3 sections, and you know, some of them are going to require a lot more work than others. I mean, like for instance, the history that starts with 1771, I'm not sure there's too much that has changed over the years.
We'll move 1771 up.
Good, I'll take that section.
By the way, back on the survey, one thing I should have mentioned, please to include in your review of it is this section of comments made by residents, because there may be some of them that we want to address as part of the master plan, or that we want to respond to. You know, there's one question, relax the height restrictions on new buildings, what's the purpose? So,
What page, Lynn?
page 37 it starts. So, you know, there's comments that residents submitted, we shouldn't just deep six them, we should figure what ways we might respond to at least some of them.
So are these all the comments that were received?
Yes. Although it does say sample of verbatim comments, but I
It's a
thought-
sample of the
Yeah.
comments also, because of our ongoing, I mean, I got, I'm gonna say 20 or 30 responses way after we closed the shop.
I mean, more surveys coming in?
Yeah.
They dribbled in and dribbled in. I mean, for a couple of months. So all I would say is in the future, I won't be here for the next master plan, but in the future, you suggest that on a survey, you really put do.
Oh, I'd love one of those. I don't have
Got a
one.
buck?
I'll buy it, sure.
No, just take it over, deduction from his salary.
Yeah, I still did say that there were some that, where the questions were so similar to each other, or the comments were so similar that he combined them. So I think that's why he used the word sample.
By the way, I'd be more than happy to do the educational part in the schools. When I go to the first place, I will contact the school and find out what the status is there. Okay? All right?
Do we want to just go?
By me, everyone, nobody.
Okay. Okay. Of course, Ann can probably give you
I
all the
was gonna
information.
say, you should talk to Ann,
Yeah, I will.
because she has more of the
Yeah, she has more of the information than they have.
long-term
Unless you'd rather
statistics.
do it, you can have Ann. I mean, you can do it if you want.
No, it's so much better for somebody else to.
Oh, yeah, I
You
understand that one.
understand?
Oh, yeah, I totally do.
No, you're not stepping in.
So I want you to go through and let's talk about what we talked about.
Yeah. Okay. So I had the ongoing of the master plan after a review of the lot line adjustment that we have coming up. Does anybody mind if we just go through it, because it's gonna be more streamlined. If we look at it now, they're already missing the check for registering it with the county. Where's that one? Anyway, the filing fee. But they have done the check for, to the town and the mailing, registered mail. This is that all right if we do that, and then we'll go right back to the okay. There you go. That's it, you want?
Sure. We can share.
Yeah, put one here. Worry about the water.
Okay, well, I see one there, I see one there.
Okay.
So, we have So you're up Black Mountain Road.
Okay. So here's Windy Hill Drive.
Oh, so she's got,
What's at the end of the road?
Yeah, it's very hard to figure out.
Yes, you go to the end of
Okay.
Black Mountain Road, and you take a right, and you go into Windy Hill.
So is Black Mountain Road on the left-hand edge?
no,
No. Well, what-
It's up the, it's an old driveway, Windy Hill Drive.
So the Windy Hill Drive comes in off of Black Mountain
So
Road.
that's this red line here coming off. So Black Mountain Road is somewhere along here.
Yeah, it's off the map on your left.
Okay.
There's actually a little, if you look over here on the lower right, there's a little view
Side map.
down by Larry's elbow there.
Oh, lower right, sorry. Yes, yes, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still hard to figure out where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing this here.
if you've ever skied in this pasture,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if you were gonna park, you park here, and then you take off
Yeah.
that way to this pasture. And if you've ever been to, the biathlon range, it
Mhm.
would be, and this is
Way down.
that area,
Yeah.
and Peters, I'm not quite sure where the biathlon range is, but it's this whole parcel.
Oh, I didn't see this part here. This is helpful. The box,
Yes.
that really helps.
So,
Oh, okay, I thought you meant in the circle.
all that too, the kind of detail, same, similar but
So
different.
that part
So we are doing what? We are,
It's not to be abandoned?
Abandoning lot line, yeah. Like,
it looks like they have a little quarter acre lot in there.
With the existing garages?
Area to become a part of parcel 14B. And not to be considered a separate
so
lot.
this line here.
0.23 acres, 10,000 square feet.
With the garage.
Oh,
Yeah.
The one with the garage on it?
Right.
So is that all she's doing?
Yep, she's eliminating, see
Oh.
this lot 14B. So that area, and you eliminate that dotted line right there to make it part of that lot.
And that's it.
Looks that way, unless I'm not reading it correctly, but I haven't read the description at the top, sometimes it's helpful too.
So is that presently a separate lot, or how is that?
I think she had the garage,
I'm confused because up there it
Yeah.
says 14.2 and 14.3, and then down here it says 14B.
It is confusing, isn't it?
There's 14A and 14B. And then up here it was 14.2 and 14.3, so that's flag that to, if we're gonna do this.
You know, I'm wondering if this Windy Hill Drive is not just part of what the planning board may have required years ago or something. Are they asking for some drive to be
No,
put in now?
no, they're not.
I think that that's just a confusing element that we don't need to be considering.
I don't know, it might be in there to get frontage.
Well, but 14B is a huge lot.
So, are they just getting rid of this lot?
No, I think 14A is gonna stay down here, right? Because this little tiny one is the one they're changing, I think. Point that, not this.
50-foot setback from,
Yeah.
from the paper, this is back with the old papers right away.
So that provides the access to 14A,
So
is that what
this
you're
right-
saying?
What is this right now?
That's probably right.
For that from,
So that's why 14A is an existing lot, because of that right of way, because of that,
So
that makes
What-
sense.
this right now is a separate lot?
I think it's 14, right? Is it-
Pretty big,
I think this,
14A, okay, 11 something acres.
Oh, okay, so it is that big.
14A.
Oh,
So she wants
And-
to here then, and not to be considered a separate lot of record.
area to become part of 14B.
Well, she's got this up here, and then a line here. See area to become part of
Oh,
14A.
there we go.
Where
Line
are
to be
we?
abandoned.
Okay.
There's a line to be abandoned up in the
Uh-huh.
upper left-hand.
This one right over here.
Northeast corner.
See, so area to become part of.
Oh, so that's part of the exchange?
That's the exchange.
this here?
Yes, I guess, is that, right underneath that, the line to be abandoned,
There's
yeah.
two. Okay.
So she's cutting out this piece into a, oh, I see, so this,
The triangle now goes part of 14A, and then the little sliver on the other side.
Yeah, they're both ending up with the same amount of acreage, so it's .23 acres being exchanged from one side to the other. So this little triangle is .23, and the area up here is .23, I assume.
Yep.
it says
So
it.
that's all what she's doing, is just trying to get all of the garage in with the existing barn.
Mm-hmm.
House, another garage, but then there's an existing house that's still on the other.
Well, that's probably why she has this right-of-way, why she has this paper cul-de-sac, so that the other house is on its own lot that has access to the road.
right.
It's on its own lot, really.
Right, but I just meant that's why the paper cul-de-sac is here. I've been trying to figure that out.
What do you mean by the paper cul-de-sac?
Where's the access to this house?
Now,
This
it
house.
comes in like this.
It doesn't-
Oh, I see.
That, these red lines are what
And
is
that's, the
actually
planning board
existing.
used to do that, to give people frontage.
So then there'll be just be a right of
so
way
that
here?
they would be
I think they'll
Conforming lot.
make
conform
this
to
a right
the
of way.
regulations, but they didn't
Windy
have
Hill
to build
Drive will be the right of way,
the driveway.
giving access to this.
And the
So
up-
they
Although they may not
keep going
develop
on their own.
Right, and it's both her.
And the
pieces.
upshot of it was that we ended up making fire department people angry because we were giving approval to something or other with a paper access that would never become real. So the fire departments still had to access a place over some sort of driveway that wasn't as good as what was shown on the map, because the one on the map never got finished.
So,
Did we stop doing this?
We did finally stop
Oh,
doing it. I think
okay.
it may have been Billy Kelly that was,
It just doesn't
ended
make
up
sense.
screaming about it.
Yeah.
But this isn't here now.
No,
No.
This isn't here.
no, that is.
Right, so that's just on there.
So it does appear to be pretty cut and dry.
Mhm.
So basically, she
But
wants
we
the
don't-
existing garage to be part of this property, is that what I'm?
Yes,
So it looks
that's
like-
what it looks like.
See again, what was that, is that?
Right now,
Just try to put the garage with this.
you've got online, and so it's, what you're doing is just.
But this was a separate property all itself, so trying.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah, she wants this line to be
It's a separate
abandoned and
lot,
taken
right.
out, and then line to be this way now. Okay. To become part of 14A, which is not Jack's property.
I might, yeah, I might have to.
Because here's the very detail, this is the front in here,
And this become part of.
Hey, would you mind tossing me one of those?
but this one says, A,
Okay.
which is.
Without hitting anyone?
Oh, because that's gonna
Right
be the
now, yeah.
driveway to have access to 14A.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You,
I bet that's right.
this land, this land is this way.
Oh,
I don't see any well or septic or anything in this. With existing garage, they show well location for that house. But they don't show anything for this one. I honestly have never been up there, so I have no bloody idea.
I can't picture what that
I
house
know what
is.
it is.
25-foot setback at all. This property line to there, is that how they determine that, this solid line to that?
Yeah, this is setback from the property line.
Oh, that's right, okay, never mind.
Right, they, yeah, you see there's 50 foot.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're using, but the symbols between the setback and the existing driveway are very, very similar. I mean, if they're gonna be redrawing this, they have these.
Mhm.
Right, they got, right,
Two different.
the dash line, yeah.
Mhm.
It's a dash
Hard to
red
see.
line, but as to how many points long it is versus spacing in between.
It should make a different color.
Right, or at least
It's just different symbol.
dot line,
Yeah.
dot line, or something to have it different.
Sarah, can I ask a question? Wasn't, okay, this little area that we're talking about, the little triangle thing right there, that was a total separate lot before?
No,
Was it part of 14B?
no. It's part of, line to be abandoned.
Right.
It's part, this triangle presently is part of 14A. This line does not exist presently. The line 14A is here along, the
Oh,
dotted
okay,
line is
that's,
up here. That's the way it is now.
okay.
And what they're proposing to do is to move the line down
Mhm.
to this, so it's a sharp angle.
Okay.
And so
Becomes
this
part of
lot,
14B then?
yeah, this
Okay.
lot is losing that amount. And what they're doing is giving it this little bit up
Oh,
here,
okay,
which is the
okay.
same, it's a different shape, but it's the same square.
The fact that we're just reviewing this, do we want to look at the checklist to see if there's any problems before they come here? Or,
Well, that's what I thought, would go through the checklist quickly.
yeah,
Just in case there were issues,
okay.
then we can give them a heads up so that
By the time they come here,
they could correct them and then move through with it.
I've just never seen us do this process before, where we reviewed it
Well, I
without.
had it, I've had.
Oh, you had it?
It came in last week, and we told them, well, we can't get the abutter notices out in time
Oh, okay.
to make this
So this will help
month a
then.
meeting, but we can make next month a meeting, which, what do they call it? The review of it,
Yeah,
the public
Public
hearing.
hearing.
here, okay.
Thank you.
Now, would we be worried about,
It was good company.
would we be worried about the fact that this one existing driveway would serve both houses? That's okay within our zoning ordinance, right? It doesn't, it's just an old driveway that can work with both. Is that right?
As long as there's two houses only.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Good.
So there's two houses there now with an existing driveway,
Right,
and they are creating a situation that both houses, excuse me, will have access to a driveway without encroaching on the other property.
right, so a driveway could go from this paper.
Right, at
one.
whatever
Well, right now
time,
it comes off of,
if this ever got sold off.
Right, they could do that,
Yeah. It is a separate lot now,
right.
and they've rearranged it a little to move the garage. But anyway,
So you just happen to know this is a paper, this doesn't exist?
I've been up there.
Yeah, so you know that doesn't
The
exist?
red lines show what is there.
Oh, okay.
The red lines are the driveway that exist.
Yeah,
And these dotted lines.
Yeah, but nowhere does it say that's a paper,
Okay,
you know.
but down here in the legend, it
Does
says ROW, that's right of way. So they are saying that this will be a deeded right of way.
I see, okay.
Which will be deeded right away.
The
Cul-de-sac.
Windy Hill Drive, which has the blue or purple dotted slash line
Cul-de-sac.
to the cul-de-sac, right?
Right away to, I mean,
Deeded right away for, that would be the road.
If Ann Peterson ever sells this back house, the
okay.
existing house, that buyer will have a deeded right of way to
To
this.
the house, okay, even though they won't be using it now.
No, and there's no reason to create it in their mind because they have an existing situation that works fine for them. And it's all within the family. I think that her son lives in her house and she has the bed and breakfast over here. So, I mean, all that is fine, but I think they're preparing for the future
Yeah.
if this ever got
Sold.
sold.
Okay.
So the
No,
well
there was just-
radius is another one with the confusing marking is the setback, the well radius and the driveway are all so similar that they would be confusing.
Slash lines. Setback lines, traveled way lines, yeah.
And
which is the bed and breakfast, is that
And the first one was the
First
Yeah,
bed and breakfast?
on 14B, so on 14A, is there plumbing? Because Larry pointed out there doesn't seem to be a well or septic.
Is well served both?
Right.
I'm sure there's it's not in the detail, I think the well is probably there. It's not impacted by anything they're doing.
But ours does, our regulations do ask that they be shown
Hmm.
anything within
Yeah,
a
that's-
200.
But that's a
Back to
good
the-
note, see, that's
Back to
wonderful.
the
That's-
checklist. I think
Let's
it,
go through that.
yeah, let's go down that checklist.
We have some free food.
Right, well, it's totally my goal was to make it streamlined when they do come in. Cast of thousands.
Hungry.
Hungry.
That's why I'm eating 60 of these things.
Would you like me to go down the list?
No sugar.
You should have let us know, we could have brought dinner.
I grabbed a quick sandwich, but I'm tired.
I bet you are.
Okay. Well radius.
On one, not on the other.
Okay, well, why don't I go right down it? Okay, we've got the location map.
Yes, we do.
Identifying title, proposed, yeah. Address, 8911 address.
And then, I have it. This one.
You said it's not needed, Sarah?
Well, they should have it.
They should have it.
Because they're existing
Yeah, they're an existing.
It says E911, 19 Indian Drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
got
found it.
It did.
It's not Roosevelt,
No, that's all this is original.
Okay. Ownership charter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but you know, on the ownership chart, it talks about lots 14.2 and 14.3, whereas the rest of the map talks about 14A and 14B. They ought to be consistent.
Question, yeah, 14.2 and 14.3.
Yeah,
Or
so the map shows
14.
14A and B.
A 14B.
And then there's a lot 14.
Right.
Oh.
That shows down
And
here.
also is on the
Yeah.
trust funds.
All right, so the tax map and lot number of all lots. So I'm going to put a circle on that one to see if we can refine 14.2, 14.3, or 14A, 14B.
Yes,
Abutter names.
there's a list there.
Yes, and I have an abutters listed address. Okay, name of zoning district.
Yes.
Okay.
Plan note number 1.
Minimum zoning frontage requirement.
Yes.
Shows that.
Plat 1 inch, 200 feet or better. North Arrow. I did do it in North Arrow.
Well,
It's a nice one.
That's
well,
not,
two nice ones, yeah.
Oh, yes, oh, excellent. Plan date,
Yes. Front row.
Today, yes.
Yes.
That's all the way up.
Right.
I think that's what follows the right of way.
okay, surveyor certification statement.
goes down.
Well, there's his stamp is there.
And the certification's far left.
Certification's far left.
Okay.
Bottom left says certification.
This is
Okay.
what's been abandoned, and it's been,
Boundary survey including bearings and
is
distances.
it going to here?
Yes, it seems to be
Yeah.
complete.
All zoning ordinance setback lines.
There's a space there. It's this space.
I think those are there, on the setback lines.
So this boundary should be identified, right? That's what you're saying is corner.
This one.
Yeah, where's it go? Right at the end of it. Here, where's it go?
Right.
I thought it might follow the road.
I bet it does because the road has the
Yeah.
That's the.
distances and
Directions.
And
Yeah, it would appear that that road is located on lot 14 substantially, that paper street. If you look down at the square, it looks like that
Is
paper
this
street.
lot corner right there?
No, that's the area that we're looking at.
Oh, I see.
That's the detailed area.
So where's the corner of the lots?
See here, it follows this way, it follows the midstream of the brook, and then comes back down.
Oh, I see.
I think that's clearly marked on.
Yeah, it's a little confusing,
Yeah.
this.
It's confusing
I'm
that
going to
they
put
have water
a
away.
question on that.
Question on where the line goes from.
What happens here?
Right. Because it looks like the line just stops at the cul-de-sac,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then it doesn't go here. And then it's to here, so is this connected to that? And what about,
Right,
is this
right,
all,
that
is this
way.
all one lot then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's a question. Existing building and other human objects.
We got a few.
Good catch. I think we got it. Deed restrictions, if any.
Don't see any, doesn't sign it. See.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't see anything stated anywhere.
Okay, the owner has represented to the Jackson Planning Board and depicted or noted hereon all known restrictions and easements.
Right.
There's,
It's in the
Lower
private road
middle
responsibility.
left.
in there.
So I'm going to say that
Yep, okay.
it's done. Location of existing and proposed water supplies.
Yeah, that's what we're missing on the one
Missing
one
the
This
house.
is on an easement because they're both the
Yeah.
same, it's just crossing on the same land. Right.
On lot 14A or
Well,
2
whatever.
or 73 or whatever it is.
Location of existing and proposed sewers and septic systems within 200 feet of the involved lots.
Yet again, there's no septic system on the 14A1. Well, so,
And that's the newer house, so I'm sure there's a septic plan
Oh, is it?
of record on it, yeah. That one was, I think that was a newer, 20 years, but
yeah.
it's not 100 years ago. Location, but I have a question on that. So, proposed sewers and septic systems, we will look at that. Location and names of all existing streets. Well, they named one.
That's all there is.
Yeah, and they've got-
It probably wouldn't hurt for them to say on this square map where Black Mountain Road is, because they show it. They may as well put a label on it.
yeah, it's on the label, what? the-
Down here.
all the-
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but
labeled
not
there.
there.
Yeah.
Wherever I'll be showing with the,
You see what I mean on the
Yeah,
square part?
I agree with you.
Yeah, it'd just be more helpful to have it.
Yeah.
just label the roads there. We have to reprint this anyway, so
Right,
get it.
good thought.
I'm just gonna say, in the square. Floodplain land, if not, I'm hoping that doesn't flood up there.
No, that's the general problem, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, then we have the sewer map, no, we're not doing that. No septic at this time. Down to surface waters clearly identified.
Awesome.
See much.
What comes into play in the
Square.
map,
Yeah.
the square, so I can,
It shows water, but otherwise no.
In the square map on lot 14A,
14, it kind of shows the brook going down the stream.
it must be a pond up there.
or wetland.
Yeah, and I guess the difficulty is he's marked the area of detail, so all he's really shown is just this area of detail.
Right,
So the stream is offset,
right.
I guess.
Yep. But then he's also shown the detail up beyond his area of detail.
Right, and it is on one of the lots of record.
There's no septic or,
No, yeah.
yeah. Well,
So we're going to ask that he show that?
I don't see how he can, because it's within the scale of this. It doesn't show up. He's got it.
He's got it in the. he's
And it
got
doesn't
in
seem relevant to
the-
what's.
It's not relevant to what we're doing. so.
Okay, good, okay.
All existing or proposed easements, right of ways, buildings, and central site features, rock and stone walls, tree lines. Well,
Yeah, I don't see any of that, but, that, I'm not sure if there is any of that up there.
so they have the right of way,
Yeah.
the buildings, and they have, we must have a fence line someplace.
It's next to the existing barn.
Oh, yeah, there we have a fenced corral. So they've done pretty well there.
Mhm, okay.
Open space to be not applicable, engineering sheet showing location to proposed water supplies not.
No,
Engineering
that's
sheet.
been changed. So we don't have any
Okay, so
change.
I'm down to statement of responsibility and liability
so this
for
be going
streets and roads. I saw
This
that.
right here.
Yeah, that's
That'd be going in.
That's in the lead, in the.
Cul-de-sac.
private road
So
responsibility.
this is the
Bottom
man
line.
here. This is the.
And did you note down that we want them to somehow differentiate their red
Must come
dashed
here or
lines
something, right?
Yeah, they-
with dots or something rather
Yeah,
to
but so it's gonna
make it
come.
clear?
This is-
There are three, the well radius, the setback, and the driveway,
Yeah.
that are all red dash.
you're saying this
So it could be red dot and dash, red,
It's just
Oh,
access,
that's a
just-
lot.
yeah, it's just access for him,
Right.
because that's too.
Right, they could use the red lines, just make it a different line.
The road.
Different, if that
more
dash,
different for
dash,
people like
dash.
us who are
Right.
maybe myopic.
Right. Subdivision regulation compliance statement.
It's in the same as the private road responsibility.
Just, no, the area details. is the dash.
And then
So it's the solid line.
the rest of it is not applicable.
Yeah, the problem.
Okay.
Non-plat data to be submitted, copy of the statement, services. So anyway, I've taken notes on what should be cleaned up here. Well, it is,
Several feet, it's cannot be closed out, boundary line out.
They must have had it so that, they like to have it so that that kind of thing shows up. So that if the planning board, if the planning mentality folds.
thank you very much. I think that if I can get this to them, the engineers, then they can clean it up.
And give it to us nice and pretty for our next meeting.
And are you going to get the town to send out the notices? Do you want me to send out the notices, the butters?
I believe they have the check, so,
Wonderful.
and they have a stamp machine now,
Yeah, great.
so I think they can just
And
run
Julie
it
seems to
through.
be easy at doing it, that's great.
Yeah, just give her a little lead.
I have a crazy question for you. Sure, Christina. So,
I heard it fall. No
Yeah,
one
it
did.
is.
Did it? Okay, good. I heard it land.
Short $20, Sarah, you know where it went.
page 16.
Short $20, you know.
So on page 16 of the existing master plan, it talks about the soils and about the soil survey that was done in the 70s.
Right, has to be replaced.
Now, then just, the town just adopted was just the way you test the soil. This is not,
Soil survey done in the 70s. 70s is what the soil survey of Carroll County,
Yeah.
it's done, that's low intensity soil surveys that were done with the state. That's what you can see there.
I guess my question, building up to, is the fact that now that the town changed the way we modernize the soil testing, does that would come into play here? Or this is topography.
No. What was done is, as it says here in the 70 soil survey of, that was the Soil Conservation Service, which has been renamed in the 70, and that sort of gives a baseline of all the soils in the state, but they were done in order 3 sales low intensity, and some of the areas are shown as medium intensity, but none of them was done at high intensity, and so as we go on, we'll say that
Recently.
Talk about high intensity, so on that required page 17. 4 lines down.
Mhm. All right, so the update of this particular section would have to do with that paragraph on 17 to say that, that we now require the site-specific soil mapping standards.
Will you be willing to write that section of the
I would be
history?
more than happy to take care of that, since I would be editing my own writing.
So Kathleen volunteered to update the schools section. Sarah will update the soil section.
And also do what other natural history stuff. I'll do topography, soils, water.
You're coming so fast.
Land use. I'll do land use as well.
Okay.
Does that bring us to 21 to populate? I'm going with this. 21 is population.
Is that what you're volunteering for? No.
No, I just have a question.
What page are you on?
21, I'm just kind of going along and saying,
Yep, good.
figure out where we are.
Yep.
My question is, it mentions the 2000 census. And has anything been done since then?
2010 census.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I'm full of them.
What's that?
I'm full of good questions.
There are lots of numbers there. Somebody wants to work with numbers.
I'll volunteer to update the history part.
Well, Larry already got that one.
Oh.
There is
We're talking about
there is no
populations.
updating the history,
Betsy, do you
right?
want the population?
What, the last 10 years?
I can
Yeah.
do that, I can do numbers. I'm sure.
And it doesn't look to me as if we put in the fact that the Wildcat River became wild and scenic designation. So that should be updated.
Should be in there.
It is in here. That was done in the 80s.
Right.
88.
Yeah.
But I don't see it listed in the history.
Federal Wild and Scenic-
Oh, it's here, Federal Wild and Scenic River.
Page 18.
18.
Okay, but I mean, it should be part of the
2010.
history, shouldn't it?
Well,
Oh.
it's in there, it's part of the water.
Okay.
It's a river.
Because that'll be the newest, and I've also got some other stuff from North Country Council, and also,
Well, if you're going to do that, then also the new library and the old library and the current use of the town hall, that kind of thing should be in there.
Yeah.
track cutting, and they had a good
Because that's where this stuff all goes back to 1990.
Oh, in the town.
Most of these departments can be
In the
done by
fire
the
department.
department. I mean, the highway department can do their own, police department can do their own.
Yes, they need to be prodded.
Right, I can be glad to prod them. I do, I'll do 30 through 39, pages 30
Would-
through
Was it
39.
the last 10 years that we put the roof on that garage over there?
I'll prod them.
Or was it before that, probably?
Okay, did Betsy get that?
So you're going to do from 30 to 39?
30 to 39 I'll do.
Sold.
Well, prod, I can prod, a good prodder.
Great. And so, is there anybody here who's part of the Jackson Water Precinct? You're not, are you?
I'll take that one, I can take 39, it'll be right up to my last one.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do solid waste disposal as my department as well, so 30 to 41.
Kathleen's doing
All right.
43.
41. Great.
Just to speed up the process.
And library?
I'll do cemeteries, library, social services.
Social services. Health services. Nothing too much change in there, just updating.
Shall I continue on doing health services? Does somebody want to do recreation and cultural?
Recreation?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Conservation, recreation, same thing.
Right.
John, were you on solid waste?
I am on solid waste, I'm all over solid waste right now.
Couldn't be a better man for it.
What a place to be.
I will dispose of that topic.
So,
And I hear half in the back here, the highlights of Jackson Community Center.
Yeah, that was from before.
Yeah, but we can put that back in the
Shall I update the housing change? Did anybody sign up already to do population?
no, looking at it is,
Pretty much all the
there's
guys.
some serious research there to,
I've got a bunch of that.
oh, do you?
Did you just sign up for it, I think?
Yeah,
He did,
I did. I thought I'd made that.
he did.
Oh, okay.
My hearing's bad.
It's worse.
Okay. So once you get the whole list, review it, so we all know what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah, and please let me know if I've missed something that you've volunteered kindly to do. So let's see. I have Kathleen has volunteered to update the schools section. Sarah to do soils, natural history, topo, water, and land use. Larry to update the history and recreational cultural sections. John to update pages 30 through 41, basically town services.
Right.
Betsy doing cemeteries, library, social services, health services, and housing. Where is housing?
Oh, there, that's right, I got it.
And Dick to do the population section.
Does that cover everything?
Okay, then who's gonna do housing?
I was going to do housing, but who's doing employment and income? Kathleen, can you do that? Or Darren,
What page is it?
you've
What-
gotten off scot-free, right?
No, I'm fine.
He's just smart, he should.
Where's employment and
Notice how quiet he got.
Yeah.
Page 26, 27.
I was just reading this housing, trying to think about talking about that.
Can't we assign the people that aren't here a few things?
They're gonna be chairman and vice chairman.
John, I was just realizing, you say starting on page 30, but did you see that on page 28, there's administrative services and facilities?
I did not see that. Let me look there. Betsy, okay? Let me take a peeky poo.
And boy, page 26, we talk about.
Oh, I'd be
teacher
glad to add that
grids.
to my list.
The demand
Excellent,
for,
thank you.
Well, I'm sure Scott would do something, you know, or be, or
Betsy's doing it.
Yeah, I know that.
Just say Jackson,
Read
you
it
might
right
be
there,
a
it says
source for like
that
employment
you can't afford
income.
to live in Jackson.
They.
What's changed, right?
That's exactly true.
No, that would have the case out, but there's a whole demographic study that they did on employment in the valley, and I think they had quite a bit on town by town.
It says here, the 1989 profile of New Hampshire's counties, cities, towns, and unincorporated places.
Yeah, it was a similar.
I recall that we went through 1 through like 9 or 7, and we did a lot, and I've got notes to show that.
Yes.
But I don't remember doing directions for future land
No,
use.
we have not done that yet.
And
And what
What
I
page is that on?
Page 9.
9 through 11. And that's something I think all of us should look at.
put
Right.
together.
9, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, all of these-
All of us look at it, you know, and it looks like it kind of relates to some of the background stuff we're doing. And so if we all look at it and beforehand and then discuss it as a whole meeting. So all-
Well, we're gonna wanna go
Well,
over
the
one-
bullets
yeah.
will be changed, right? Because those are from the previous survey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're
well,
gonna wanna
I-
go
I-
over 112
yeah, I
anyway.
think this may get rewritten,
Yeah.
you know, with maybe the emphasis on different items. I don't know, I haven't read it for. a long
Yeah,
time.
well, I think we might be smart to postpone that until we've really completed the,
Right, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
rather than
Yeah.
assign it to somebody.
So
We
Yeah.
have a wonderful
Let's
start.
see, I'm doing the employment and income, is that
great.
what you
Cool.
said? No, it was a question.
Let's just see here.
There wasn't there a survey
Yeah.
that was done for the 3 counties up north here on unemployment? I remember reading one that was in the office,
Yeah,
that would deal with this employment and income.
I'm
There's a
gonna
whole booklet on it.
try to find that. It's either in my, at home, in my files.
So like a movie one-on-one when the guy's job was to water the grass and he shows up and just sprinkles himself?
But there was one done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you.
Oh, no, I'm saying, I appreciate
Okay.
that.
Yeah, it had, you know,
Statistics.
median income,
and, yeah.
and age, all the age stuff, and, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's available, I'll try to get that out for you.
And then, who's doing housing?
I was going to, do you want to do it?
I was thinking I'm gonna do it with you.
Okay, great. I'm surprised, you know, when you look at page 24 and 25, it shows all the subdivisions that were approved in that, what,
Yeah, you're right.
14-year period or something, yeah. So we'll have to do that again. Not a lot.
Is that you, February 2002? Page 25?
Okay.
And we'll have to gather the statistics on real estate sales, update those. So that's great. Thanks, Darren. You and I can coordinate that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about February? Well, that's not, 7/10.
Okay.
And John, since you have a huge chunk there, I would recommend if you need help. contact
I think I'm just gonna
me.
delegate it, really, to be quite honest. I think that's something pretty much everybody can do, and I can just review it. It shouldn't be too difficult. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just saying because other people not here.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott would be willing to.
I
pick up
think I
some-
have access to all that information much quicker than anyone else.
Good.
Okay, sports fans,
I'll make-
excellent meeting.
I'll second it.